Hello.
Hello.
What's going on, man?
Everything. What about you, man?
Not much, man.
Not
On a podcast.
First podcast. Wild. It's my first one, and yours, man?
My first podcast, man.
Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, man.
So, what's been happening, lads? It's COVID affected the arts. I haven't heard much about that.
Wow, man. It's been a bloody roller coaster. Let's just say that. Last, I don't know, what, 3-4 months. Yeah, it's been amazing in that sense, you know. I mean, at first glance, it's, you know, all kinds of destruction and everything, all the negativity around it. But at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity in it. So, and that's actually how I met Harry, right there on the other side. So, Harry, tell us the story of how we actually met.
Hey, man.
During the COVID.
Yeah, I've been following Tommy on Instagram for a little bit. It's kind of after some nice art, and a couple of pieces like really struck me. Messaged the guy, and he took me on a little bit of a tour of his studio. And yeah, I linked up a couple times from there, and yeah, I ended up purchasing some of his work. 2 killer pieces. I'm not sure. Can we bring them up? Is that a thing?
These ones.
Any works. It's all good.
Yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are they?
I'm gonna find them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find them. Do you have Instagram on there?
They'll be on Instagram. Yeah,
On your page.
On Tommy's page. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll bring it up. You keep.
We're
talking.
gonna find them. But yeah. I got like work for my bedroom, work for my lounge room. It's just so cool, man. Like I've found, you know, a lot of art is quite static, and I think kind of, you know, it's a one looker to some extent, right? You'll see it, and then, you know, you've seen it with Tommy's work. It transforms a lot, which I think is killer. And I've got this really kind of moody, silky smooth, like galactic-like piece in my bedroom, which I just love going to sleep to. It's awesome. And I had a kind of more energetic one in my lounge room. I'm going to find it. Yeah, head down. And down. We're deep. Me and Tommy met a while ago now.
That's right.
These are also killer.
It's going to make me love.
You're going to get ads. It's
Yeah,
okay. It's okay. No. They're beautiful pieces, though. And yeah, and then after that, you know, me and Tommy was just kind of teed up on a couple of projects here and there, and kept in contact, and yeah, got some cool things in the works, cool things lined up.
For sure. I mean, what's really interesting with this whole kind of process was that when you have an idea and a spark, and you know, you create the first relationship, after that, amazing things start to happen. Because on our project together, you know, like we were doing promotional stuff for my website and that kind of thing, because I wanted to do a bit of a rebrand, and I wanted to kind of, you know, start to, you know, position, you know, what I do, you know, in this kind of market. But what was really, really awesome was when we actually put it together in our first project, when we went to the house in Throsby, right? You know, that was the first in-wall interactive artwork. And actually, you might be able to pull it up on the Instagram as well, because it's actually an important one.
It's at the top.
Yeah, it should be near the...
You won't ask for ads.
Hold on. I'll get this up.
It's actually quite an old post, actually. So it's... Oh, but we reposted it. Yeah, true. So it is... We go down a bit.
You're going to get cucked, babe.
Yeah,
we're going to get cut again.
Oh, no, wait, no.
It's near this.
I'm so nervous.
So if we go down a bit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we saw it. We saw it. We saw it.
This one.
Up.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Oh, but he got cucked still. You can see from the side.
Technology. Yeah. See, right there. That's right. So, yeah. So with that piece,
I'm going to log in and we'll bring it up.
We'll go back to it.
Love it.
Oh, that's a funny time. It was Tommy's first time doing an interview. A bit of a learning process for the both of us.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
But it's beautiful.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah. We met the owners that purchased the house, that actually had the artwork inbuilt into the actual house. And yeah, it was just really exciting to hear it from their point of view, because they've lived with it for about, I think, what was it, 11 months?
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, like when we went through the interview, we started to see that, you know, they made purchasing decisions based, you know, to some extent on the artwork itself, which is quite a great honor, you know.
I think they
for
said,
house
you know,
that
when
value.
it was about the energy they felt in the house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they said they walked in and they just felt something, right? A house which no other house had.
That's right. And you know what? That vision, like from 3-4 years ago, it came out.
Website.
Oh, that's even better. There you go. That's
That's
great. That's a killer photo.
So yeah, maybe explain a bit more for those who don't know that you actually produced artwork for a development before anyone had moved in, and it was integrated fully into the building, into the wall of the house.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the. It's kind of interesting story. I mean, we can go into the story, which
Dive deep, man.
Yeah,
dive deep into it. All right. How do we? Okay, how do we begin? I was invited to this party. Okay, this is how it started. Right, it's a bit of a story. So I was invited to this party, and it's at this beautiful home, beautiful house. A lot of movers and shakers in the Canberra media scene and that kind of thing. So and I had this idea that, all right, well, let's have an exhibition in this space. So I talked to the owner. It was a bit bold at the time, right?
But why not?
Why not, right? So I said, well, it's a big house, right? Let's make an exhibition in this space, right? And I put together an exhibition. It was in 2017, and it was called Oasis. And I even had I had a couple of guests come in. I had a pianist as well, Chris Endry, the comedian.
Oh yeah.
He was actually playing piano on a $50,000 grand piano. I mean, it was just nuts, right?
Yeah. Another Canberra name.
Another Canberra
name, Chris.
Yeah. Oh, Chris is wonderful. And he played some amazing, ambient kind of scores, and it was quite improvised too. So anyway, with that exhibition, we invited a lot of people, and one of the guys that came there was a developer, right? So, and there was another developer as well. So, but it was the first time where I could show the vision. So the idea was that I wanted to have interactive work. In the actual exhibition, I had interactive work, as you'll see with this, light reactive piece in this way. But my grander kind of vision, if you could say that, was to transform the spaces with interactive artwork built into the walls, into the actual architectural structure.
Has that been done before?
I'm not sure.
I haven't seen it elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a bit wild. It's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Right? And anyway, this developer, he said, look, we're gonna open an open home. Well, not really an open home. Sorry, it's like a what do you call it?
A show home?
Yeah, like a show home, like the first one that they built.
Yeah.
Although they built ones before, they built houses before, but this one was like a showpiece because they wanted to, go for a particular kind of awards. So with this one, they said we are in mid-build, so we've got the frames up, we've got everything. We have an opportunity to actually, manifest this as a reality. So they commissioned me to create this artwork in this way. And it was 4 meters tall. So that presented a lot of logistical challenges because of its height.
Yeah.
Because, plexiglass, because it's actually painted, directly on plexiglass. There are certain limitations to the size that you can purchase in cast plexiglass or acrylic. So we had to find ways how to, kind of find ways to create a piece like that to make it look continuous, right?
Yeah.
And that was an amazing thing. And it was the first one ever done. From what we've kind of seen. So, and then it was a hell of a learning experience.
I imagine, man. It was all custom ordered, wasn't it? You said.
Yes, it was all custom. Yeah, for this home. So, and the mounting system was quite interesting too because we had plasterers come in and we asked them to do things they usually never do. So
Yeah, I assume typical tradie just ready to go do their job, and you're like, all right, guys, hang on, we're putting art in the wall.
That's right. Like what?
Yeah.
Say what?
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell? Just stick it with a nail. I think that's what one of them said, right?
Did they actually?
Yeah, they did.
Damn, it's glass.
Does that have like a light behind it?
Yeah, that's right. So it's got a dimmer. So you can see here there's a dimmer, in the image. So this one did not have colored light at the time, like in terms of the stuff that I do now, but this one has a dimmer and all the colors are already in the artwork. And what they wanted from this installation is to change the mood within that volume of space. It's quite a large space. And then we tested it out, with the different settings and the intensity of the light, and you really can do that.
Which I think is good. I think in such a large space, right, your eyes are often drawn to nothing but how big the space is. I think a really cool thing about this piece is it gives your eyes something to kind of fixate to. Instead of just being like, oh, this is a grand space, you kind of have this, you know, this centering piece within the room. I thought it was great. Like the second I walked in, it was amazing.
Thank you very much. So that was that. Yeah, it's like ideas can turn into reality. And that's the most beautiful part, you know. When
I want to see it on the floor.
That's the next step. The floor, the ceiling,
Yeah.
everything.
Whole room.
The whole thing. You're in the cube. Well, actually, you're in the faceted crystal. But anyway, that's enough.
It's going deep.
It's a hint thing. But anyway, we're going in deep.
Remember James Turrell did a exhibition where you were kind of like completely in it at the National Gallery. I can imagine seeing your work in a way where you're just completely engulfed in the work. It could be very cool.
That's a dream, man.
Yep.
So hint, if the NGA do hear this somehow. Or White Cube.
Hit me.
White Cube, you listening?
Yeah. Holler out.
I'm pretty sure they're watching.
Yeah.
So.
Big reach, big
man.
reach. This was cool as well, man. When was that from?
Yeah, so that was installed in New Acton.
Yep.
In the there's like, I don't know what you call it, but it's like where you've got the East Apartments. I think they're called the East Apartments. They're on Edinburgh Avenue, I think. It's
Get
called.
lost in New Acton.
Yeah,
I just know hotel, and a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
rust-colored buildings.
That's right. With lots of corrosion and
Yep.
erosion.
They
Love
like
it.
that. They like that a lot.
I do too. I've started to really get into it a lot more. And yeah, so that piece was made for that kind of space, to have that kind of weathered and corroded kind of look. Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. I see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what's interesting with this one is that I'm working on a thinner frame system because originally it's on the 100 mil, so it actually sits out as quite a bit of a box. Now we're getting it down to about 36 mil.
Wow.
Yeah,
Different back.
completely different, whole different feeling on the wall.
Yeah. Well, because I guess this
It's
kind of has like
streamlined.
a kind of TV like profile to some extent, right? On those ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going really thin would be amazing.
Well, I want it kind of like
Otherworldly, right?
yeah, like you want it to be like a what do you call those things? Like the wallpaper kind of TVs. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Really clean. It doesn't affect anything. It's very discreet. So that's kind of the future, really.
I think that'll make it all the more impressive, right? Because it's kind of, it kind of gives a bit more magic to it even.
Yeah.
It's this painting doing all this stuff by itself, and you don't really see I obviously not seeing the inner workings here, but
Yep.
even less so.
So I guess we, as the viewers, we only ever see these like finished products like this. How much of your time is actually in, inventing, almost like playing around with techniques? And I've asked you this before, and you haven't told me how you actually make this stuff. But I'm blown away by some of the effects that you get. How much time is that where it's not even about making a piece of art, it's just about experimenting?
Look, I mean, it's really all about experimentation. Every single piece is and was an experiment, right? Let's just be truthful here, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess that's the way that I live, because I always want to create something different. So, but I'll have like a series of works, like big works and small works. And, like I'll be doing pour style painting, but then I'll kind of, in the heat of the moment, invent, or create a different technique that will create a different movement in it, or a different textural, I don't like to say effect, because it's got a lot of, negative connotations to it, but treatments.
Yeah.
Right. So, but when you get into it, you're basically sparking that creative process all the time. You never go down a formulaic type of route.
I think my favorite thing is you said, I think to me once, that one of the best things about this kind of style of art, right, is you're going to get art which expresses the way you feel at the time. Because it's always an experimentation, right? It's not like I'm going to do this set technique I have to make this product. It's I'm going to experiment today, and that experiment's going to partially be how you're feeling at the time. And I think you said you had some works during COVID, which started to represent that a lot, right?
Yeah. There were works that I was making, which is a lot more textural. So what I wanted to do was actually break down older works which were unfinished. These new works, I termed them as masterworks, because they go back into the old energy of what was there, but it was not complete. I felt it wasn't complete.
Yeah.
And then when you kind of go back into it and you take the risks and you start eroding material and you start to kind of, you're kind of attacking the artwork, right? It's not a very, it's not a very nice thing to do.
I think the funny thing is you see this kind of smooth look at the end, but the process, right?
Oh, the process is savage. Okay, so that's secret stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like you're adding these layers to something that was there, but you're basically like kind of like tweaking it out. Like you bring it out, and I think that's the really exciting bit too. That you can always create something, in different ways. You know what I mean? So, like when painters paint, they go through a certain type of process, right? And when you get locked into that process, that's all that you'll create. But then something happens and it's like, okay, necessity is the mother of invention. That happens, in a certain situation, a certain commission, some accident.
Yeah.
Right? Actually, I love the accidents. They're the most important component of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the accident that drives you, because it's something it's unconscious, right? I think it's even subconscious. It's like it's there, but in order to manifest it, there has to be something that sparks that manifestation.
Yeah.
So that's why I love painting in general.
It's killer, man. I think you can see it a lot in your works as well, where you have that kind of. I think a lot of your older works were very, it's like quite silky and kind of galaxy-like and oceany. And I've seen some of your newer works can be quite jagged. And then there's some works together where you're kind of combining both those two things as this like beautiful juxtaposition. I know one of the ones I bought was like that as well. It's the best kind of seeing those two techniques kind of come together.
Thank you.
Amazing to watch.
Thanks, man. I was so surprised with that little circular one with the flows in it. And also, actually, LifeX reposted it as well.
I was hyped, man. I think the best thing is I saw everyone was commenting on that one more than normal, and they're like, "This is amazing." I'm like, "No, this is amazing," and I'm buying it. Screw you guys, this is mine.
That was nuts, man. I mean, international lighting company, blue tick, and then they reposted. It's quite awesome.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like we're collaborating already, but I'm trying to get them to see the the vision of having environments within this kind of art. So and we're getting there bit by bit. We're kind of chipping away at it, creating new pieces that have that energy and they have that life. And your particular one is so hard to it's impossible to reproduce. But I want to take that energy and kind of procreate with it, so to speak. In like spores. In different artworks. It's a special one. So
that's why I got that one, because I know like I work at JB Hi-Fi, so I'm unashamed. I love LifeX. They're beautiful stuff, and I buy too much of their stuff. In fact, I had my phone stolen on Friday. And it's okay. These things happen, but it'd be how it be. But it got to the point now where my home is so LifeX'd that I didn't have a phone for 5 days, right? So I had to ask my roommate Sam every night before I went to bed. I had to go knock on his door, and I was like, "Hey Sam, can you turn my lights off?" I didn't have a phone. I was too smarted out. But no, like in my room, I think how you're saying your work kind of works a lot with LifeX is the reason I wanted it is because I saw that. I think LifeX has this beautiful flow, and I love all the colors working around my room.
It's awesome, man.
And I actually have one of their tiles on one wall and then one of Tommy's pieces on the other, and they just complement each other too well. It's perfect. Couldn't ask for anything more.
Thanks, man. It's technology that's, because the thing is that what I kind of want to open up is the fusion of technology, AI, because it pretty much is almost AI.
Yeah.
Essentially, in that sense, just the colors and the forms and everything that come from it is embedded in those algorithms, which is AI obviously based.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I understand it, but it's
I think it would have to be, right?
It's something like that, yeah, because there's sensors in there. They make decisions on certain things and so on. But I think that when you, instead of fighting a technology that's coming anyway, why not embrace it, and why not take it further and extend and elevate the already existing thing? And I think that's what the future holds.
What I love about that, I think a lot of people are, and I think artists can sometimes do it. We get quite attached to the traditional way of doing things, and I think what you've been able to do and kind of get on quite early is being able to say, we have this new technology, and this is the forefront of new technology. Why aren't we incorporating that into to some extent ancient painting styles, and then bringing that together with new techniques and new pieces of technology together? It's killer.
Hell yeah.
More people need to do it. Or
Hopefully
maybe
spark
not. I
something.
don't know. Maybe it can just always be Tommy's thing forever.
Well,
No.
fingers crossed.
How about you, Harry? What have you been up to?
Live scenes kind of dipped out a little bit during COVID. So traditionally just doing live music photographies has been a bit less of that. But being some of my really good friends, guys called Keo and Billy, and now a girl called Claire, and we all work together on a project called Warm Water. Traditionally, they are like a record agency, but we're doing a thing called immersion sessions at the moment, which has been pretty fun.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
Like in March this year, I think it was in March, we went to a studio in Sydney called Studio 301.
Wow.
There you go. There you go. Now, yeah, we started filming, live band sessions, one take in one of the coolest studio spaces in Australia. It's something I've been dreaming of doing for forever. I think every filmmaker always wants to do live sessions with bands. It's just something which comes across your mind, but you don't really have a way to do so. And for me, my audio knowledge was kind of lacking a lot. And I was so hyped to, become better friends with these guys as they have audio knowledge out the wazoo. It's crazy, man. So I've had this beautiful group of people who've been able to facilitate this kind of dream I've had for ages, and together been able to create a killer product. I've loved it.
Yeah,
man.
awesome
That's awesome,
work
man.
on this one, bro.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and then we've got a teaser. There's another one coming up in the next month or two. Filmed it a while back in 301 with another pretty cool camera band. So keen to have that one come out. Yeah, I think video work's just one of my favorite things. It's going to be weird. I've always been traditionally a photographer. Well, I thought I was at least. And then I don't get hired for photo work as much as video work. Everyone's like, hey, man, cool photos, but can I hire you for this video job? And then down the track, I've just started like really, really enjoying the process of it all. I'm starting to learn a lot more about lighting, which I'm really enjoying. As we saw with that interview.
Yeah,
Me and Tommy did an interview with someone, and I bought the world's biggest softbox, like a terrifyingly large softbox. Like the poor girl. It was funny. We talked to this girl for maybe like an hour before we started filming, which was maybe our mistake because me and Tommy love to chat.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And then we pulled her in front of this huge softbox, and I think we'd run her out of juice.
Yeah, she was just paralyzed.
She's like,
Even I was a bit paralyzed. I was like, whoa, where's sticking that thing?
yeah, exactly. It ain't sus. Looks good though, but it ain't
Looks
sus.
good. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, man. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So tell us a bit more about this warm water thing.
Yeah.
And-
So
and-
Warm Water is really just it's a record label, I guess, traditionally.
Canberra based.
Yeah, exactly. Billy and Keo,
Canberra artists.
two
Yeah.
amazing people who basically started it up a couple of years ago. It's killer, and I've just started working with them recently. I'm really lucky that some of the guys from Archie I've been to school with. In fact, I live with one of them. So we've kind of just hung out as they've kind of grown up throughout Canberra, and that's had me spend more time with the management of those guys and just kind of develop projects together. And it's one of the cool things about Canberra. I actually started doing all my photography stuff in the Sydney scene, which is really cutthroat. It's
can
kinda
imagine.
everyone's stepping on everyone's toes. Everyone wants to be the best. I'm I'm this and I'm that. And then Canberra just I think, and Nick can probably attest to this, everyone knows everyone. Everyone is lovely to everyone. Everyone wants to help everyone grow. It's the most beautiful thing. And that's how this is all stemmed out, really.
It's a wonderful environment. I agree.
Yeah, it's so good. That's why if I hear you trash talking Canberra, I'm coming for you.
And so where do you see photography sitting into the future for you, and I guess gig photography? I know you're still doing a little bit of stuff with Pass Out and, live in your lounge and stuff. There's been some places for live music, but what are you seeing as with the warm water thing and your photography? Where is that going?
Yeah, man. I think at the moment it's just a bit unsure, right? I'm doing as much photography as I can. I'm still doing press shots with, some bands I really like. But I think the cool thing for photographers and, really all artists is COVID's made us get out of our boxes to some extent. So I've been really lucky that, while previously I could fulfill my photography needs and wants by just shooting festivals and gigs, and I'd have all this content coming in. Now that that's kind of been cut off, I've seen a lot of photographers, including myself, have to spend time looking for work elsewhere. But that, I think that's actually improving a lot of us. A lot of photographers I've seen now who are traditionally just live music photographers. And I think live music photographers kind of box themselves into a genre quite often. And they post live music photography. Maybe they do other sorts of photography, but they just post about it. I've seen a lot of killer photographers. I mean, Ruby Boland, one of the biggest ones in Australia, she started posting skate photography. Nice. Gabby Clement started doing, more portraits and stuff. And I think seeing a lot of people step out of their comfort zone has been beautiful, including myself. I traditionally don't do too much stuff outside music. So doing more video work and then doing more, like press shots of bands. It's been really fun. Been able to learn new skills and stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, COVID's really changed everything for me as well in terms of because originally I had a studio at a car park, right?
You did, yeah.
And Harry went there, and I invited him down there. But at the height of the lockdown here in Canberra, I had to kind of think like, well, I can't use that as a studio. So what I did, obviously, I kind of opened up the home in that sense, re-landscaped the garden and everything, and changed it into a studio. Right,
keep the neighbours happy.
That's right. Well, not in so many words. Let's just say that I've had to go a little bit incognito with that one. But yeah, no, it's one of those things, right? Like it pushes you outside of the box. It kind of puts you in a box in that sense, right? But at the same time, it kind of allows you to expand and take a lot of risks and things that you would not normally do.
I think it's been nice though being put in that box, right?
Yeah,
because I think some people that will just cripple them completely. And I think I've been kind of blessed by the fact that while yes, we were put in a box, we've kind of have to force ourselves out of the box, which I think pre-COVID, no one was going to do.
Yeah,
like everyone was kind of happy with their comfort zones and just hanging out inside them. And I think us as creatives have really had to think, what are we going to do differently? And even like yourself, Nick, right? Like, would you be doing a podcast pre this?
That's right. Yeah.
No, there's part of the inspiration for sure. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've all found, different avenues to keep ourselves entertained and keep our creativity going and flowing. And I actually think we've seen some of the coolest creative pushes forward. I mean, Live in Your Lounge, for example, that is just one of the... Have you watched Live in Your Lounge, Tommy?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it, no.
It's so cool. They basically, as soon as COVID hit, they've been getting banned like week after week. I think at one point they were doing 2-3 sessions a week. Yeah. Like nutty stuff. And then filming a full live gig, full production, full lighting,
support
full sound.
acts and,
Wow.
Yeah.
And all live.
Yeah, exactly.
Like live stream and all that.
I think that's something which we weren't going to have pre-COVID. I think the idea of that...
No way.
It's making also gigs quite accessible, I think, as well. Sometimes people can't get out of the house. I've loved it. I'll come home on a Friday night sometimes and I'll be able to just tune into a live gig from the comfort of my couch. Obviously, yes, I like to be there.
Of course, yeah.
But, I think being able to adapt like that's been crazy cool.
It's true. The keyword adapt.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I think, there was a huge chance for a lot of, just negativity and then we could all just collapse. But I think the cool thing about creative is they wouldn't let that happen, right?
We really being creative.
We have to, right? We call ourselves creatives. We have to
be creative, right?
So. But actually put in the effort. But no, I've loved it, man. I think that some really positive stuff's come out of it. Absolutely. I am very keen to go back to a festival, though. I want to get sunburnt. I want to have sunscreen in my eyes. I miss even the crap things about it, man.
Of course. It's a double-edged sword, like you miss a little bit of that kind of human connection and the moment and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, learning not to handshake was the most bizarre thing. I'm a very huggy, handshakey person.
Yeah.
I still get caught up. I'll walk up to someone and I'll go...
Yeah, you do the elbow,
Yeah, I really know what's going on there. I'm not very good at that. That's probably
it takes a lot of practice.
That it definitely does.
What about you, Tommy? Have you thought much about the fact that your work needs to be seen? Well, it doesn't need to be, but it'd be good to be seen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And traditionally, galleries are packed full of people mingling around. That's become harder. Have you thought of, ways to do something a bit different with that?
Absolutely. Like I've been thinking to set up like an online gallery, but one that you can actually tour in 3D. So I've got the software for it. I've got the SketchUp Pro. I've got everything set up. It just takes a bit of time to build it.
That sounds so cool.
It's going to be a bit different, right? So it's going to be like a walkthrough, essentially. And the other cool bit is because it's digital, you can invent and create the environment to what you want. You don't necessarily have to make it in the normal architectural sense of.
Can we have art on the floors?
Hell, of course you can. You can have it anywhere, right? And that's the thing, right? That pushes the idea in people's consciousness that it can actually be realized in reality.
Yeah, 100%. I think if people could see...
I think that's the next step, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of, day-to-day people... I'm just going to keep using art on the floor as an example because I think A, it's funny, but B, it's gorgeous.
It's going to be cool, yeah.
It's going to be like normal people on their day-to-day life be like, no, I'm not going to put a painting on my floor, you madman. But I think if you walk through that in a virtual space and you see how that can make you
what
feel...
it can do, yeah.
Yeah, and the idea starts to become a lot less ridiculous.
Can we actually chuck up on the Instagram, because there was one, I might have it there, the piece called Whirlpool, which was my first floor concept artwork. This kind of leads into it quite nicely. That was showing
at not Nishi. What's the bar at Nishi?
Monster.
Yeah, it was showing that, wasn't it?
It was at Monster Bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be, yeah. Yeah, it should be on the website. It's called Whirlpool. So, yeah, actually have a look at look at the different events that I've done, and I think one of them will be Ovolo, because it's like a partnership with Ovolo Hotels for Art Not Apart 2020, actually, just before COVID hit, or yeah, major project. So, not the other art fair, maybe Art Meets Architecture, maybe that one should be there. Oh,
that is so cool.
That's actually going to be a reality in about a year and a half.
Is that a SketchUp? Because I didn't think you'd done that yet. So
it's actually rendered in 3D.
That's so, I heard that was coming. I didn't know that was done. I was disappointed. I didn't see that. Yeah, man. Are we gonna have color in this one? With the backlight? Is that the game?
The idea is to have an interactive piece. So you walk through the doorway, and then there'll be sensors inbuilt in it, and you can actually walk through, and it interacts with you. So I can sense, how you feel or whatever, and it actually translate that into color and form, and you can see what's there.
So cool.
It's a part of a dream I had, and I wanted to make it into reality. So and there's some other stuff. That's an exhibition I did again just before COVID. So this is actually 2019. That's Revelation. That's Arc.
I love that one.
While we're looking for these,
yeah, it's in there somewhere. If you go our portfolio, maybe go our portfolio, go into maybe private.
Is it a collab technically?
Maybe architectural and concept or private. It's one of those.
Oh, it's calculated, probably.
Architectural, yeah. So there's all the architectural stuff, including the lifts as well at City West Club.
So, what would you say to someone who's, thinking about getting into art, and as someone who's made a career out of it, what does it take to get to the next level? I'm sure a lot of hard work, but in terms of getting these projects, and what do you think the advice would be to someone? Because a lot of people are thinking about getting into art, but don't know sort of how to take it to that next level.
Yeah,
and get these sort of opportunities. I
think the way to do it is to naturally persevere. So naturally, you're gonna get throwbacks and stuff like that. I think keep with your vision and plan it out. Be a bit strategic about it. The way that I'm still learning that myself. So just persevere. Go to people that will want to connect with what you do and your vision. See where they're at in that respect. I'm still doing that myself. That's the whole process. But never give in. Artists go through a hell of a time trying to get their art out there. You know, it's about resonating with your audience that you want to do a project with or something. You know, things have to kind of align a little bit naturally. You have to have a bit of luck in it. That's just the way it works. But you need to make that luck, and you need to push forward and do stuff which is definitely outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's what COVID's done.
Yeah.
It kind of leads into Harry's comment there about it. So yeah, I think that if you push outside of your comfort zone and go a little bit beyond what the art establishment has taught you, if you've studied art, if you're lucky enough to study it. If not, then if you're a lion, you can go for it. You just got to have that tenacity to keep going.
What I think is really cool for you as well is the way you've done your audience interaction. I haven't seen too many. There's a lot of, I guess, people who post their art and that's it. But I love how every artwork. I'm not sure if everyone's seen Tommy's Insta, but the way he'll post, make an artwork, and it'll go live, and he gets to kind of discuss with the audience and his fans and everyone who's gone on, exactly how the process happened, and have a large conversation about that. And I think that connection you have with your audience is very different to your standard Instagram.
Well, I wanted to connect with the audience, my audience, in that way, because they're following me. They're spending time, their valuable time, getting involved with what I do. So as a respect to that, I want to share a lot of things with them and give them that value. People say stuff about giving value, but I actually want to give them an experience. You
also get to give them the signature Tommy hello.
Oh, there's a few different ones. It just depends on the time of day.
Depends on the night.
One of our viewers, Josh, has sent this in and found the Whirlpool.
Oh, he's
one
found
for us.
it.
What a guy.
Yeah,
Good old Joshy.
Thank you, Josh.
Wow, thank you, Josh. Yeah, there it goes.
And imagine this was on your floors, people.
Imagine, that's right. That's right. Or ceiling.
Or ceiling.
Or both.
Oh, even better. Or walls.
That's right.
That was a good find.
That was a good one, yeah.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah.
The other one I wanted to ask about, your the impressive thing sometimes about your work is the scale that you get in, and I've seen shipping containers fully covered, and the one at the airport, was that one of the?
Wish it was at the airport.
Do you always do a piece at the airport?
I'd love to, but
Or it was on display there or something. I could be wrong.
There was I think you tapped into my subconscious there a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been thinking
that was a dream.
How do you go about getting these works so big, these massive pieces like the size of houses?
Well, look, the thing with that is that it requires more than just me. So I want to kind of thank all the people that are involved in this, because it's not just technically me in that sense. For large format works, I rely, a lot of my kind of, people that I collaborate with, to help me out with that kind of stuff. Because if you're moving panels like that, they're very heavy. They're naturally very large, right? So I've worked with people at the City West car park for those big ones, the really big, the Voyage work.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, the ones that are on an entire wall.
Yeah, that's Voyage. Yeah, that's my largest work. And probably the most important work for its message now, which is, because it's called Voyage, right? And it's called Voyage, and then Fingerprints of Consciousness. So that was a bit of a head spin, that one. It's an important one, because with that work, when it reacts with light, it basically traces or gives you a sensation of the reality of life and the existence, like in the brain, neurons firing, brain functioning as a living thing. It is itself the first of those kind of living things, but at scale. And yeah, that's an important piece. But it requires a lot of effort, and it requires a lot of help with architects and people like that because it is so large. The logistics around it are scary. You know, like when you go into it, you think, okay, well, I'm going to paint a large work, but what am I going to do after that?
You know
how can I move it?
You know how you were talking about how you're not really planning these works to some extent. Like you're planning to some extent structure behind it, but the work is in the moment and it's an experiment.
Yes.
With the larger works, would you say that's still true?
Voyage was.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Voyage originally was like it's 12 meters, right? So with that,
Humongous.
it's the humongous one, and the value of the plexiglass that I saw was extraordinary. You know, like I could buy like a little car for that much. You know, it was really scary, but it was a dream that I had in terms I really wanted to make it a reality, but I wanted to see how you could see it. Like, so I got a ladder and I looked at all the clear material in front of me, and I thought, holy crap, this is a lot of, you know, how am I going to pay this, right? And I had this idea that, okay, well, I'll do something with scale. You know, I had this idea where you would go from the like nano scale and go to the cosmic scale, going, you know, through our scale and then go into the cosmic, very large scale, you know. And the piece, when I kind of threw, quote unquote, dripped the first paint through it, it was like, you know, it's like breaking a drought. And when you do that, things change immediately, and then you're in a flow. You're in a thing called the void. You know, it's like infinite potential, and you kind of like something. I don't know how to describe it, but you touch something which is present, and you're a vessel for that thing, whatever it is. You know, and when you go through it, you suddenly become, you know, this almost like a puppet. Like something is kind of, you know, like it's controlling you almost, right? It's a most amazing thing. And through that work, that was the driving force of it. That was how it was created.
That's why I think you see so much emotion in your work, is because you, as you said, right, you're kind of to some extent a puppet to your subconscious, to your emotions, right, while you're working.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting now I heard it.
It sounds odd, right? But it makes sense.
Because you kind of are a little bit, you know, like something controls you. Yeah, and actually with that piece, I learned a lot of things with physical size. And when you paint, when you create works like that, because it's an action painting, right? So Jackson Pollock, you know, action painter, you know, drip lines, things like that. It's action, using your body, you know, you're moving around, you're creating lots of energy. The thing is with that work that you see the limitations of what your body can produce. And that for me was really quite extraordinary with that work. You know,
would it be physically exhausting to some extent by the end of it?
Was.
Like that's also was the first drip daunting?
It was the first, not just drip, but it was the first strike, I'd call it, because it like it's like you, I don't know, like you kind of opened a wound in some sense, but in the opposite way. I don't know how to describe, but it just like you start that mark and then the energy just kind of flows through that. You open like a floodgate. I know it sounds a bit corny, but it really is.
No, that's not.
It is. It's like a floodgate, and then all these emotions and energies start coming through you, and you know you want to be able to translate that into the artwork, and it just became like that. It just formed right in front of my eyes, you know, almost unconscious decisions. Things are just, you know, sparking, boom, 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 here and there, you know, and it just came together. And then when I lit it up, that was there's a bit of story to that. When the artwork came into the exhibition, which was the 2016 Voyage, I asked David Caffrey from New Act, and I said, mate, we've got this artwork, let's light it up. You know, that wasn't actually the original. That wasn't the original intention, so to speak, right?
So is this artwork not actually meant originally to be lit?
Not originally from 2016, but that was a discovery, and that changed the whole game.
So is that piece the birth of?
That's a birth.
Kind of the style we're at right now.
That's a birth. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, well, we've got all this media, and it's actually reactive, right? Let's pull, because it takes a lot of resources. We had to go to the what's his name, to Enlighten. You know, we had to go to Enlighten, and we got their premier, you know, lighting engineer on that, and he put a massive truss up there, you know, in the Nishi Gallery. Yeah, and the exhibition required so many people. I think probably 7 or 8 people that were involved in the exhibition.
It's wild.
So when you create something like that at that scale, then you naturally bring in lots of people into it. That's what I love about it. And Voyage did that because it's such a large work. It has it's got a gravity around it. It brings people in certain ways. And, you know, I mean, when you light it up and change it, it kind of becomes that, it's like a window into the cosmos and into your brain as well.
Yeah.
Your mind. So, yeah.
We'll just show people what you're talking about with this light.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
If you want to take people through this.
yeah. So this is a work called Moon, the first one of a series of 3 works. And actually that exhibition where I met the architect, that's where it was first shown. Yeah. So you'll see
Just
it
point
change.
it towards me a little bit more. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. And of course, when it's a bit darker, because obviously here there's a lot of light, when it's a bit darker, you'll get a very strong contrast in the work as well. And this is, of course, UV reactive as well, so it reacts with ultraviolet. See that shift right there?
We're cranking the light.
Ah, here we go. Now it's going to get interesting. Okay. And this one glows in the dark as well, so just a little bonus there. So
Did you figure out backlighting in a similar way to you figured out front lighting?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Backlighting is very, very difficult because you have to think about the artwork in terms of its layers and how the light actually kind of percolates through.
So did you think about backlighting before you painted the piece, or did you light a work and then were like, I see the potential for this? Or was that like a kind of conceived idea?
It's a bit of everything, really. I mean, in terms of there is preconceived ideas in certain works, and you think about it quite rigidly that, yes, this is how the light's going to react to it, and this is how it's going to work. Other times it's like, well, it's a bit more unconscious than that. Sometimes it's like, well, I want it to be backlit, but I know that it can have front lit capability as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're thinking about both sides.
That's what
literally.
That's what I love when I bought my works. We lit those up and these weren't meant to be backlit.
They weren't meant to be backlit.
But holy hell.
It's those accidental discoveries, right?
Yeah, man. It's like the best bit about it all of it. I'm still waiting. I'm going to figure it out. I just need to start buying strip lights and just covering my walls with them and seeing what happens. It's the game plan.
We also got another one behind us here, one of Tommy's works.
Yeah, this one's Spark. And this one's actually really, really interesting because if you get it dark enough in the space, you'll get that movement. So the spark looks like it's pulsating in space. It's like it's moving and breathing. And this heralded a new series, which is the Spark work, a spark of creation. And it kind of symbolizes really what I do in that respect. So you might be able to see... Oh.
Yeah, you can see it.
See it kind of shift? Yeah, see that?
That's cool.
And then when you go to UV, this is the really beautiful bit. When you hit the UV, then it flips, and then you get all that energy coming from the front.
I think it's so cool because when we talk about your work, we always talk about scenes, right? I think this one is like such distinct scenes. Like each individual color, there's a different play with texture, and I think in a lot of the works, you'll find that it'll change the way it looks, but it won't completely change the scene. I think in this one, each individual color creates an entirely different painting.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Thanks, man. Well, that's the dream, to have works that constantly change and become something different, They'll hold their old kind of character in some sense, but at some points, they'll be completely different works in the same artwork. And then your mind's thinking like, well, how could this be, the same thing from that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the mystery of it, and that's why I paint.
And I guess you don't necessarily even know that until the work's done.
Yeah.
Right? You'll rediscover, I assume this is correct, but you'll probably rediscover your work after you finish the work, right? Like you'd paint a piece and it'd be like, oh my God. I didn't expect it to do that.
Well, that's what we had, remember?
Yeah.
I was thinking like, well, that's not going to backlight, right?
And we're just mucking around.
Just mucking around, right? And then, wow, something's happening here, right?
Yeah.
And then a whole series is going to be created out of that. It's what it is,
And so where's the video coming, the video aspect with Harry and your art and your collaboration?
Yeah, well, we partnered up to create like a promotional arm of my website, essentially. So, and we want to create like a promotional video about the architectural installations, which, you know, you've already kind of seen a little bit with the Throsby installation. And I just love to work with Harry because he's got this amazing vision, you know, for how to communicate the message.
Thanks, man.
You know, and yeah, it's an incredible ride, you know. I mean, we learned so much stuff with the first interview.
Yeah.
Like that stuff's not written in books, nor on any podcast, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's like hands-on kind of experience that you go through because you take the risk.
I think that's exactly, you know, me and Tommy probably have a pretty similar learning style, as you've already heard, when it comes to trying something and then getting something out immediately, which you didn't even think you'd get to begin with. You know, I think the outcome is often so unpredictable that it becomes beautiful in itself.
Yeah.
I don't think either you or me thought we'd become, you know, learn as much as we did after that.
That's true.
Yeah. I think that was very good.
I was
Very
wonderful.
cool.
It was
Exactly,
really
man.
wonderful. And during COVID,
Exactly.
why's that?
And they gave us nice food.
And yeah, that was the whiskey, right? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Amazing.
My
I'm not really a
goodness.
big whiskey guy. I don't really get it
Yeah,
usually.
me too. But that was like, wow.
Yeah. I was like, no, man, I'm fine. I don't really drink whiskey. He was like, no, you're not fine. You're
Yeah,
trying.
considering that glass like $50 worth in that
Hey,
point
yeah.
glass.
Yeah. He's a madman. But that was beautiful.
It was beautiful, yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And possibly even a business out of that as well.
Exactly.
So,
Things to come.
which maybe you might see my artwork on apparel,
Ooh,
on some type of apparel in the future. Could be quite interesting.
it'll be very interesting.
So watch this space.
Definitely. I think one of my favorite things as well is being able to show, and hopefully down the future as well, like just be able to help show Tommy's work in that digital space in a very visually, you know, pleasing format. I think, you know, there's nothing like being able to see it in person, obviously, but if we can get as close to humanly possible as being able to have that experience online, I think that's just amazing, right? Giving more people the opportunity to see what you see in person
It's true.
is amazing. I think, and you know, as the guys in Throsby said, that work, you know, it changes the space, right?
Yeah.
Changes your mindset, changes your entire mental state while you're around it. It's funny. I have some friends. Some of them can be quite blokey at sometimes, and pulling out to the work, and they're just tranced out. Yeah, it's beautiful. Feel blessed to have it in my house.
Oh,
don't know if my
thank you, man.
landlord does though. I'm not sure if I need to drill into my walls, but alas.
Yeah, you got to actually drill them into the walls for the time being anyway. Maybe I'll find another way in the future, but
It's okay. I've got ideas.
good ideas. Good.
There's no inspections during COVID, actually.
Yeah, that's good.
That's right. So we're fine. Thank you, COVID.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, that's we've been talking for an hour.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So
That's great.
This is what happens on our phone calls. Me and Tommy call to discuss like a minor thing about
I know.
a video.
I
And
know.
40 minutes later, we're like, oh.
And then all my batteries are going on the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
no, thank you guys so much for coming in. There's
Thank you
some
so much.
Thanks,
great
man.
insights into what it's like. You know,
Fun,
been the
man.
past few months here in Canberra as a creative, but no, thank you for joining me
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
and the
Thank you
show.
so much.
And
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll have you back on one day.
Beautiful.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, man.
Sick. That was awesome.